Hello there. So you might have seen that I have recently released my latest animation showreel, alongside a HD remaster of my very first showreel from 2005. That's a 20-year gap. 20! Oh god, I'm old. In that space of time, I've created 12 of these little showcases of my work. So what did I learn over the years of assembling these? Full disclaimer, I'm not going to act like I'm some kind of hotshot master editor who knows the exact science on how to attract clients to my work, nor do I have a humongous body of work to pull from compared to many other more prolific and active animators. But these are just a few little tips I try to stick to whenever I put a new showreel together that you might find useful. Or not, I don't know. I always try to keep these under 2 minutes if I can. Somewhere around the minute and a half mark feels right to me. There was only one exception where I went slightly over 2 minutes. That was in my second showreel from 2006, because that was a period of time where I'd created tons of little films for college, so I really wanted to show the breadth of different techniques I experimented with. Stop motion, flash, rotoscoping, mixed media, I really was trying all sorts at that point. My third showreel from 2008 was only a minute long, but I think that was mostly due to the fast-paced song. I still quite like this one for its snappiness, but yeah, might be a little bit too fast-paced for some people. There was a point where I was really trying to cram as much footage as I could into that sub 2 minute window, and this often led to me speeding up clips to squeeze them in, usually in time to musical cues. But sometimes these snippets were 2 times their original speed. That's a bit much. As I've gotten older, I feel like my showreels have gotten slower paced with less tiny clips wedged in, focusing on one project at a time rather than randomizing them throughout the showreel. I'm pretty sure the latest one has everything running at 100% speed. Pretty certain. I think this gives viewers more time to soak in the animation approach of each project, rather than throwing everything in the kitchen sink at them in rapid succession, which can be overwhelming and confusing. It's a tricky balance, as the other thing you really want to do is put your best foot forward and start the showreel with your latest and or greatest work. When showcasing films that were collaborations with other folks, it makes sense to at the very least credit who you worked with. Most of my recent work has been in collaboration with the studio Deadline Communications, who are usually the brains behind the film's operation, handling the script writing, voice acting and sound design. This works great for me, as I'm not very good at coming up with ideas from scratch, but can create good visual storytelling from a base idea. There is one example in my 2008 showreel that was rather cheeky of me to include, to be honest. This Sci-Fi Channel commercial wasn't animated by me at all. I merely came up with the storyboard and concept art for it in its early pre-production. Naughty boy. For the last few years I've been adding additional information about each film, including who I collaborated with and who the clients were. This started as a piece of text in the bottom left corner. This year I decided to change things up a bit by using logos in the corners. I'm not too sure what the best approach is just yet, to be honest, but the logos do look a bit less cluttered to my eye, personally. As the years have gone on, I tend to only make a new showreel when I have at least a couple new projects to include. As the new films get added, the older, less exciting stuff gets pushed aside. Most of the time anyway. There was one exception in my latest showreel that I simply didn't have the heart to remove. The Embarrassing Bodies promo. This is from 2018, so it's pretty darn old now, but it was my one and only job for the BBC, and I still really like how it looked and haven't done anything quite like it since. It will most likely not appear in my next showreel though, if I have a load of new stuff to include. One last thing that should be pretty obvious: make sure to get permission to feature projects that you worked with others on. There's a few projects featured in these showreels that were either not released publicly or never used at all by the client, but I still approached them beforehand about featuring a clip that I was proud of before I put them in. So I think I've gotten these down to a style that I'm happy with now. I've been more active with freelance projects over the last few years than ever, so I've been able to make a new one every year for a while now with plenty of new stuff to show off. You can check out a playlist featuring all of my previous showreels in the description below. Before I bid you farewell though, I want to travel back 20 years in time to that very first showreel, as it's a pretty fascinating example of how not to make a showreel. It was my very first go at it, but yeah, it's pretty bad. The only reason I went back to remaster this 2005 showreel was because the original file I have is itty bitty tiny and heavily compressed on account of it being made to be streamable on my Flash Portfolio website back in the day. I didn't really have a whole lot of animation under my belt at this point. I had only started truly animating on a computer about 2 or 3 years ago at that point, and most of it was for Sonic fan games and my webcomic. To make up for the lack of animation, there is a lot of extra filler featuring illustrations and even some web design work. It is also full, and I mean full to the brim, with really
cheap 3D tricks?
The intro with the bloke sipping tea is cute, but it's far too long. It's the first 12 seconds of the video. Bad. The very first clip I decided to show off, it's an extended shot of a random JPEG of the Earth smudged into a vector image with flash, and the flashy effect around it was taken from a video game. Bad. These explosions in this shot, those were ripped from the game Metal Slug. Bad. This artwork of Pan from Dragon Ball GT, traced. Bad. This extended segment of a character rotating in 3D and staring into the camera as illustrations fly by in the background. Bad, bad, bad. I'm being too harsh. Looking back now, this is delightfully crude and quaint, and I clearly learned a lot from making it, as my showreel the very next year was far superior in content and execution. Remastering this was a chance to embrace my slightly cringy past. Did you know a few of the animations seen in this were created in Multimedia Fusion, a video game creator? Oh yeah, speaking of which, as I was working on this video, I found this video that I had almost completely forgotten about. My actual first showreel, from 2003. It's so old it was uploaded on my Google Videos account. It was never even here on YouTube. I guess this doesn't really count as an animation showreel, as it's focused on video games I was attempting to make, but still. None of these video games were completed, by the way. This was literally me pointing a webcam at my monitor screen with no tripod, not even centered on the screen. Yes! Oh boy. Anyway, that's enough from me rambling about showreels. I've said the word showreel far too many times. I'm tired. I gotta hop to bed. Good night, everybody. What was that? What was that?